What would be your advice for anyone to be happy at work, especially if they're in a job that they may not particularly like?
So I think being happy in work comes down to the fact of accepting where you are.
Called Humans on Happiness, where we're going to be talking to everyday humans and understanding their concepts of happiness, what makes them happy. So today here we have with us Mr. Shantha De Silva, who's a coach himself, leadership coach, a life coach, and a soon-to-be author, more importantly, who's spreading his wisdom and experience on leadership and life overall. So, hello, Shantha, and thank you.
Hi, really happy to be here with you. No pun intended, but I think I've known you as a very happy person always, and it explains a lot when I see your passion for happiness, and not only for happiness but for spreading happiness. So it's really I'm really delighted to be with you today.
So, we'll start off, we'll get straight to it. So, Shantha, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your happiness quotient?
I would say I'm in the top quartile in my happiness quotient, and I would say probably between 8 and a 9. That doesn't mean that there are not unhappy moments in my life. There are many unhappy moments in my life, but I try to make the most of it and try to think about the positives and what I have been blessed with, more importantly, and try to focus on that and enjoy that to the fullest rather than dwelling on the misfortunes.
Beautifully put. So, when are you the most happy?
I suppose I'm the most happy when I'm giving.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm giving of myself, whether it's my knowledge, whether it's assistance, whether it's to the family, whether to friends or to the community or to the people I work with, when I'm imparting my knowledge, when I'm helping them be better, when I'm bringing out the best in them, that's what makes me happiest. Seeing others be at their best.
Would you have ever imagined getting happiness out of giving? Does that kind of resonate in the same framework? You get happiness out of receiving or being, but he and many others receive happiness out of giving. So I'm so glad that you shared that with us. And since Shantha, your area of expertise is around leadership and organization, what would be your advice for anyone to be happy at work, especially if they're in a job that they may not particularly like?
So I think being happy in work comes down to the fact of accepting where you are. You are there because you wanted to be there. So I think you need to make the most of it. One lesson I learned in life is don't live life with regrets, especially in a professional environment. When you took on a job or a responsibility, you took it on with the full knowledge of what you were taking on. You knew what your remuneration was. You knew what your working conditions were. And if you knew that when you signed it, and if you were happy when you did that, any external circumstances should not prevent you from continuing to be happy. And in fact, as leaders, when we start comparing ourselves to what we don't have, that's the breeding ground for unhappiness. So it's always about focusing on what you have and enjoying it to the fullest rather than regretting what you don't.
That I think I can make into a quote: focusing on what you have rather than regretting of what you don't. So that does bring me to my final question. 3 crisp points that you would give for someone wanting to be happy. 3 pieces of advice.
The first thing is accepting where you are. You can't deny the fact. So you need to be comfortable with where you are and what you have. And even if you're not comfortable, you need to accept where you are. Don't resign to the fact. There's a difference between resigning and accepting. If you resign to the facts of where you are, that means you can't do anything about it. But you accept where you are, you can do something about it. That's the first step of happiness. Second step, like I said before, is you should be happy with what you have, irrespective of what others have. Because you never know what others are going through because you don't have inner knowledge of themselves. Just a little while ago, we were talking about some great leaders whom we all admire, but we don't know what their personal lives and family lives are and circumstances are. And we don't know the pain and suffering they would be going through without showing it. So don't ever compare yourselves to anybody else. Compare yourself to yourself and make sure that you are happy with what you have, because you could be worse off. And thirdly, it's about believing in the future, that the future can be better, tomorrow can be better than what it is today. And that's always a hope we live with, but it's always a hope that can become reality depending on your attitude towards it. So it's about believing that tomorrow is going to be better and doing something about it. And that hope and belief will help you make it better so that you have a better tomorrow than you have today.
Brilliant. So repeating, first is acceptance of what you have the way you have it, leading to the second one, do not regret what you don't have, because someone who you're jealous of or who you're envious of may actually be worse off but not showing it. And third is have a hope, a belief for a better future, because like everything, that is our one thread of betterness towards a better thing, because that could inspire you to do better. So that is brilliant. Shantha, on a parting note, a nice, wide, happy smile for this beautiful crowd out there. It has to be a little bit dramatic, right? There is no happiness without drama.